Hello everyone, and welcome to the very first ever episode of the Scruffy Lookin Nerd Herders podcast. I'm your host, Tyler Newcomb, and I'll be bringing you all things nerd and geek related, whether they're comic books, movies, TV shows, video games. I'm covering it, and here we go.
Let me explain. No, there is too much. Let me sum up.
Okay, so first I'm going to talk about some comic books. What I'm currently reading right now, I'm reading the new Captain America. I'm reading the new Avengers. And I'm going to talk about a couple other things, comic book related, like variant covers and stuff like that, that I'm really impressed by. So first thing, the new Captain America. I don't know if you guys have started reading this yet or not. I'm on the second issue right now of the new run. And I think it's like number 702, I think is what it is. It started off kind of weak on the first issue, but the second issue, you can really tell it hit its stride. The comic opens on a scene from World War II, and which like feels weirdly enough out of place, but because it doesn't really add anything, but it does give Rod Reese to draw some World War II sequences, and I'm not really like a huge fan of those sequences. I wasn't really keen on the art. I thought they looked like unfinished digital sketches, but that's just me personally. But the ending of the comic does add a nice twist, so there's that quality, and it kind of treats Captain America as more of like a legend rather than like a living character, which is pretty cool. I really appreciated it. Leonardo Romero is the artist on this comic, and like I said, with Rod Reese and Howard Chaykin taking over and filling in with like flashback sequences. And the color artist is Jordi Belair. So it's definitely an improvement over the previous issue with more unique story aspects to it. And the art outside of the flashback sequences, which, I mean, you may really enjoy the flashback sequences, but I wasn't a huge fan of them, but the artwork is really good. So moving on to the Avengers, new Avengers issues. The first one I thought was a really good start, and the second issue was, in my opinion, way better than the first issue. I had a lot of fun reading it. Iron Man and Captain America have some good banter back and forth, and so yeah, I really feel like this is a very strong second issue, more so than Captain America, but it's all pretty exciting how they all come back together, because this is the Avengers coming back after disbanding. So is the kind of the whole gist of this story, or the storyline of the Avengers. And so they're like essentially kind of getting the band back together, and God, it's so good. Ed McGuinness and Mark Morales, Jay Lee Steen, and David Curiel are the ones that are all involved in this with the art, the panels, inking, and the colors. Very good. And Jason Aaron is, like I said, he's doing really great with the storyline. So comic book variants, I don't know if you guys have seen it. I'll be sure to post it up on the blog and the social medias. But the Immortal Hulk #1 variants from Golden Apple and AOD Collectibles. Holy cow. Oh my gosh, it's just so good. The Golden Apple Comics Immortal Hulk 181, it's like an homage to 181, but one of them is a 16-bit retro video game variant cover, and it's only limited to 700, but holy cow, is it amazing. I want to print it out and have it printed as a poster and hang it up, because it's just so cool. They also have some others that are, one's an Old Man Logan, another one is a Venom, where it's like Spider-Man and Venom's like attacking the Hulk, and like Venom is in like Wolverine's position. And then they have like a weapon H1, which is pretty badass. So yeah, that variant cover those are amazing. Like I said, I'll be sure to put those up on the social medias and the blog. And I'm gonna close up this comic book segment of the podcast with, so some time ago, I think it was about a month ago, Netflix announced that they were going to be working with Mark Miller and Oliver Coipel on a comic book. And I was like completely just like, wow, Netflix is doing a comic book. That's pretty cool. Because I've always been a fan of the majority of Netflix's original content that they do, and I feel like they do a really good job. But they just released a teaser that shows which their comic that with Mark Miller is going to be called The Magic Order, and it's their first comic series under the Miller Ward imprint, and but anyway, they released a 20-second teaser, and it shows a group of individuals standing at a gravesite for a funeral, and a gentleman takes his magic wand and he snaps it into two pieces and then tosses it into the open grave, and it ends with The Magic Order arrives in stores June 13th. And Miller has actually said in an interview that there will be no reprints. So once whatever gets printed, like that's going to be it. So I'm just pretty excited that there's like another ball player in the game, I guess you could say, when it comes to comics. It's pretty interesting, and I'm really excited. It deals with magic and stuff like that. So I'm really looking forward to The Magic Order.
Shiny. Let's be bad guys.
Alright, and now on to some movie news. I guess I'll start out first with Star Wars Celebration 2019 was announced with the date and the location. So mark your calendars. It is going to be held from April 11th through April 15th, 2019 at McCormick Place in Chicago, which is pretty exciting because this is the closest I've ever been to a Star Wars Celebration, and I may actually go. I may actually be able to go this time. They're promising a full website with event details and an official hotel information to be updated soon, so people and fans can expect tickets to be available for order on June 5th at noon Central Standard Time. So to me, like, this is really cool. I've always wanted to go, and now I may actually be able to because it's only just a couple hours away from me. So Stan Lee, this wonderful poor old man, has been through a lot recently, but some good news about Stan Lee is he recently gave an honest opinion of what he thought about Tom Holland's Spider-Man, and he tweeted, I think, at Tom Holland 1996 is a great Spider-Man. He is the exact height and age I envisioned when I first wrote Spider-Man. Spidey was never supposed to be too large. How is my friend Tom doing? It's so cool that seeing him in a positive light as of late. I know there's been a lot of negative stuff going on in regards to his finances and family and people who are close to his family and stuff like that, so it's good to see some more positive, lighthearted news from him. I guess kind of related to Marvel as well, but movie news. Andy Serkis has said that he would be interested in reuniting with Matt Reeves for The Batman. He wants to be a villain in a DC movie, which Andy Serkis, holy shit, that man is such a great actor. And I think it would be amazing for him to end up being in a Batman movie as a villain. I think that would be really good. A great fit, anyway, for a villain. So, and also related to that, Ben Affleck, there's a rumor now that he wants to stick around as Batman. So, you may get to see a Ben Affleck versus Andy Serkis movie. And I would pay top dollar for that. There's also been more Captain Marvel movie roles that might been confirmed. There's going to be like a young version of Carol Danvers, and she will film alongside Kenneth Mitchell, who plays Carol's father, Joseph Danvers, in flashbacks set in the 1980s. So there's going to be some 1980s flashbacks, so which would be pretty interesting to see. Mainly because of like how like the Guardians of the Galaxy, there's the flashbacks with Peter Quill being on Earth, so I think that would be interesting. But Banshee actor Anna Ayora, I hope I'm saying that correctly, is said to be cast in a role that's currently being kept under wraps. The recent casting continues the month of Captain Marvel news, as Oscar-winning actor Annette Bening joined the cast just last week. So I really feel like there's going to be a lot of really good characters going on in this, because I know, like Jude Law is going to be in it, and like Clark Gregg's reprising his role as Phil Coulson, which is cool because it's set in the 90s. Ronan the Accuser is going to be in there. Samuel L. Jackson is going to be in there as Nick Fury. So, I mean, there's going to be just a lot of really great characters, and I'm really excited what they do with this movie.
I feel the plot about to thicken.
Alright, and now on to some TV news. So, theonering.net, I don't know if you guys are familiar with that. If not, you should check it out. It's a really cool Lord of the Rings, Middle-earth website. Really cool. A lot of cool people there. But they have announced that they've confirmed from multiple sources that the Lord of the Rings, Middle-earth Amazon TV show is going to be, the first season is going to be centered on a young Aragorn. And now, keep in mind, young in Tolkien's novels, even for a human, is a wide range. So, at the time of the Battle of the Five Armies, at the end of The Hobbit, Aragorn would have been roughly around 10 years old, while during the Council of Elrond and Fellowship of the Rings, he's 87. So a young series can span directly after the Battle of Five Armies when he's 10, or it could be, a decade or so later. So, I mean, it could go anywhere in between that, but still really cool. I was kind of expecting them to follow at least one character that people were familiar with, so it's Aragorn. I'm okay with that. Other TV news, Batman and Gotham City are going to be coming to the Arrowverse on the CW. Stephen Amell, he teased he was going to make a fun announcement, and he delivered. He announced that this year's multi-show crossover event would be heading to Gotham City, where they're going to finally show Batwoman. The president for CW points out that this will be the first ever live-action appearance of the character anywhere, and she'll be fighting alongside the Arrowverse heroes. I'm not sure if they've announced... Oh yeah, I don't think they've really announced who's going to be portraying her. I don't know if it's going to be any of the characters that we've already seen or what, but it's cool. And it also opens the door of, who else are they going to meet when they go to Gotham, So I think that's pretty interesting as well. I'm not a huge follower of the CW verse. I watched, I think, the first 3 seasons of Arrow, greatly lost interest, and my son and I watched the first 2 seasons of Flash, and we just haven't really continued watching it. But yeah, so that's all the TV news I have.
Batman is playing Galaga. Thought we wouldn't notice, but we did.
And I just have one quick game news, which I thought was really cool. Microsoft is announced they're releasing an adaptive controller for Xbox One, which is going to really help out with people with disabilities, people like soldiers that have came back and they have lost limbs, stuff like that. This is going to be able to allow more people to game without having to do workarounds and play weirdly, and so that way they can enjoy it, they can play and not be excluded, because gaming is just it's fun, and it's a way to be therapeutic as well. So I think it'd be really good for people with disabilities to be able to just enjoy the same things that people without disabilities can. So kudos to Microsoft for that, because that's really cool that they're addressing challenges and removing barriers that's in the gaming community right now. So yeah, kudos to them. So this wraps up the very first episode of the Scruffy Lookin Nerd Herders podcast. Like I said, my name's Tyler Newcomb. I'm your host. I'm still working out the kinks, working out the little quirks and stuff, and I apologize if you heard any sniffs or little coughs or anything in this podcast. I'm still kind of getting over a cold. If there's anything you guys want me to talk about, if there's anything that you guys find interesting, share it with me, send it to me. I'll discuss it, and I'll be sure to credit you for the find. So I guess I'll end this episode with thank you for listening. Please follow on the different social medias if you enjoy this content. I'll be sure to eventually be doing giveaways and contests and stuff like that. So yeah, Deadpool 2 and Solo is coming out soon. I know Deadpool 2 should already be out. Let me know what you guys think of it. Spoiler free is all possible, and I'll be sure to discuss your topics and stuff like that. Once again, I'll give you guys credit for everything that you send in, and yeah, let's definitely grow this community that I want to try to build. All right, everyone, thank you again for listening, and this is Tyler Newcomb.